am Jackie Achter, and I have lived in the Ogden area for 17 years with this guy right here. And we have 3 kids, 16, 13, and 10. Prior to that, we lived in Logan, and that's where we met. And before that, I was a military kid, and I grew up all over. But I've definitely settled here in the Ogden area. I have loved to travel and love to run, and we like to do it together and do lots of things together.
Yeah. I'm Jeremy Achter. I'm 42. Grew up in Salt Lake City. Went to Utah State to get a degree in civil engineering and structural engineering, which is what I do now. I'm a structural engineer. That's where we met, and developed a love of running, over the last, I've been running my whole life, but we started trail running 5 or 6 years ago, and here we are in Ogden. Work for me is what brought us to Ogden. I got a job here locally, and so we've been at the same company now for almost 18 years. I've been doing this for this company, and there's no sign of it ending soon, so we'll be around for a while.
And I work at the local aquarium as a kind of marketing education specialist. I've kind of jumped around with jobs and played with being a mom for quite a while too. So how did we get into running? I started running in high school. Actually, before that, in middle school in 6th grade, I was a sprinter, a 400-meter runner. As I got out of high school into college, I would just run for fun, and after that, I don't know, maybe about 11 years ago, I got asked to be on a relay team for a road marathon, and that's where I decided, this racing thing's kind of fun. And then a few years after that, so it's been about 6 years, I had a friend give me a pair of trail shoes and said, I need you to try trail running. So I've started mountain running, trail running for 6 years now, and the moment I started was the moment I got caught up on it. I'm like, there's no going back. I tried to do a few road marathons after, and all I craved was the mountains. As I run on the road, I'm staring at the mountains, wondering why the heck I'm on the road.
Yeah.
So running through Ogden Canyon and the Ogden Marathon, I'm sitting there like, I could be up on Indian Trail. But there's just this obsession of being in the mountains. We've always been in the mountains, and when we finally realized that we could combine our love of running with being in the mountains, we wonder why we never started earlier, because it's just always been who we are.
How did I start running? I've been running my whole life. When I was a kid, I had my mom drive around the neighborhood and measure out a 1-mile course on neighborhood roads. And to her dismay, she spent a couple of trips driving around, and I had her measure this out, and I had a course around my neighborhood growing up that was 1 mile driveway to driveway. And I'd go out and I'd run that. This was through junior high and even high school. And as I went into college, I started weightlifting a lot. Didn't run a whole lot. Always had a love of the mountains. Spent my childhood hunting with my dad and family, and have always loved being in the mountains. And it was probably 6 or 7 years ago. Some guys I met at the gym talked me into coming out on an early morning Thursday trail run. They would run right here where we're at right now every Thursday, and they talked me to come out and run on the Bonneville Shoreline Trail. We had a 6-mile loop, and I started doing that every Thursday, and that lasted for several months. And you just start meeting people out here. The people you meet in this community in Ogden and then in the trail running community are fantastic, but they can be bad influences. They tell you, have you tried running a marathon on the trail, or have you tried a 50-miler, or have you done a 100-miler? And that's completely out of the realm of possibility at that point. But but 1 day a week turned into 2 days a week, and it turned into 3 days a week, and it turned into thinking about running marathons and ultra marathons on the trails, and here's where we're at today.
What are obstacles of both being mountain runners, ultra runners? I mean, it's a lot when you have a couple that does it. We both work full-time. We have 3 kids who are super active, mountain biking, soccer, gymnastics, and they're all great at their sports, so there's no rest. That is probably our biggest obstacles. How do we balance our family time with our running? But in the end, running has kind of become our thing, and the kids know if we're not home in the morning, they know where mom and dad are. We're out in the mountains, and it's just kind of become, they know on certain days where we are. He's been able to run in the mornings, and I run in the evening while my daughter is at gymnastics, so that's how we kind of balance it. But throughout the course of running, I've actually developed quite a few major injuries, but every injury has become a lesson. It's a lesson on how to balance it more and how to balance life. From a fractured hip to a dislocated hip just this year. I feel like I'm every other year being able to have a good year, but every other year I come back, I'm stronger than I ever have been. I just think it's because you learn how to balance, how to run smart, and overcoming the challenges just makes you a better person and a better runner.
Yeah, for sure. Dealing with the kids has been the hardest obstacle to keep doing this. To be a good ultra runner, to be a good mountain runner, it takes a lot of time. And when our daughter's doing gymnastics 9 to 10 hours a week, and we both of our boys race mountain bikes, so they're riding mountain bikes 3 to 4 days a week, 2 or 3 hours at a time, and our other son, who does competitive soccer, is playing soccer year-round all the time, and so we try to work our schedules out as best we can with them, and because their sports are a priority to me over mine, and I make sure that they are where they need to be, and both of us do, obviously, that they have the gear they need, and we can support them as best we can. But that being said, when you're training for an ultra marathon, it takes a lot of time itself. So maybe it does mean that you're up at 4 in the morning and you're out
3
that you're out pounding the dirt in the dark with a headlamp, and maybe you're doing it late at night at 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock. Obviously work sometimes, you have interference, and that's the livelihood, so that has to take priority over this as well. So if I have to travel or have deadlines going on, sometimes I go a week or 2 without training or running when I'm working on a deadline, but that's fine. It all comes back around in the end, and everything seems to work out. So
I've been dubbed as the mom with always having running clothes on. I got told once by my daughter, "Could you please show up to my school activity without your run clothes?" So for example, I went and did an hour run, and I remember running home and changing super fast and trying to make myself look presentable just so I could go to the school not in running clothes once. But it's just like, you got to use that time that we have. Like if I have an hour and that's all I have, I'll use it. So it's just about finding the balance, and it's tough. What do we do when we're not running? We like to mountain bike as a family, and we also love to ski. We're big skiers. On top of that, Jeremy and I kind of have a little niche for gardening and taking care of our yard and being creative with it. Other things is, believe it or not, I really love to bake. I just sometimes wish I had more time. And I absolutely love spending time with my kids, just sitting down and snuggling on the couch and just spending those quality moments with them. Other than that, I don't know. What about you?
My hobbies? Right now, my biggest one is mountain biking. So, both of our boys race. I'm one of the assistant coaches for the team, so I get to ride. I use that as an excuse to be able to ride. I get to ride 3 days a week with 20 to 30 high school kids and explore these trails on a mountain bike, and I've really developed a love of mountain biking and have also got to experience the race scene a little bit. I've raced a handful of mountain bike races. Last year I did a handful of 15 milers, and this year I did a 150-mile race on a mountain bike, which was a ton of fun. Mountain biking's great, and like Jackie said, it's a great family activity for us. All of us can get out and ride. We take our bikes on trips with us and ride in southern Utah quite a bit and just have a good time with it. Rock climbing, I used to rock climb quite a bit. That's kind of fallen off the radar in the last few years, but it's been replaced with scrambling and ridge running and just going off trail, finding difficult routes to maneuver. Maybe we don't need ropes and gear, but sometimes we get into some precarious situations.
Absolutely.
But scrambling, using our hands, I love. Sometimes I'll pick the more technical route where I might have to do a little rock climbing just because I miss it, and I love the exposure and feeling in the moment. That's what I love about being on the ridge, is everything else goes away when I realize that one false step could mean disaster. You don't necessarily feel that way with running most of the time, but if I can work a little scramble into it somewhere, it kind of clears the head.
Favorite trail to run? Honestly, I think mine is Lewis Peak Trail, starting from North Ogden Divide. It's a great trail. I wish I could do it year round, but in the summer, since I tend to be a nighttime runner, and it can be 105 degrees out, and I can go hit Lewis Peak at 5 o'clock in the evening, and it's 20 degrees cooler, and it's just more bearable. But once you're up there, you feel like you're on top of the world, just because there's rolling hills, and it's just, I don't know, I always think of the Sound of Music when I'm up there, because it's just so beautiful, and it just makes you want to run and float through the grass or whatever. So, and it's hard both ways. That's one thing I like about a run. It's like, even if I'm going up and then I have a down on the way back, I like the challenge. I like something that pushes me, not just going up but coming down too, because it rolls so much, and it's just my favorite.
Yeah, my favorite local trail is probably the Indian Trail. It's when I run it, I'll start at Rainbow and to the furnace in the canyon. It's a 10-mile round trip, 9 or 10, but it's such an incredible trail. After the first 2 miles, you're actually in Ogden Canyon in the pines, and you feel like you're so much further away from civilization than you really are. You're just above the highway, and it feels like you're way off by yourself out in the woods somewhere. The trail it's not real technical, but it's difficult. It never really flattens out and never has good, smooth, flowy single track. It's always you're always working hard, and it's a great trail. I love that trail. What advice do I have for new runners? Mountain runners in particular, have fun with it and start slow. I hear more people who are transitioning from road to mountain complain about the fact that they have to go really slow, or that they have to walk or hike. That's totally cool. Everyone does it, and that's just how it goes. You develop a love of the dirt and the rocks and the roots and the sounds and the smells of not being on the road, and you care less about speed. You care less about actual running and just being on the trail. And just like everything else, the more you do it, the better you get at it, the faster you get, and before you know it, you're running a hill that you didn't run 3 months ago, and you love it. Yeah.
Absolutely, have fun. It's okay to go slow. It's okay to walk. Take it in. You know, I remember when I first started running and like, oh my gosh, I'm no good. I can't run up this hill. But the truth is, it's okay, because look where you're at. I know when I'm out there that it's not all about the running. For me, it's about finding this peace inside me, and just let these mountains find your peace within yourself. Sit down on the rock and look at your surroundings and just enjoy it. Don't stress about times and races. Don't stress about placing, especially when you're new at it. And honestly, don't overdo it, because if you overdo it, that's when you're going to get hurt, and then maybe you'll never get back to doing it again. Just go with what feels good with your body.
It's not about where you're at, it's about where you're at. Memorable runs. One of my most memorable runs is the Zion Traverse. Jackie and I had the opportunity to go down with some friends. It's been 3 or 4 years ago, and do the Zion Traverse from Kolob to Angel's Landing. I think it's 45 to 47 miles, something like that. Pretty uneventful in terms of tragedy and scary situations. Just a good, fun, all-day event. We were with some good friends who, for whatever reason, weren't able to run the whole thing with us, so they took turns and actually crewed us, met us at various trailheads along the way, and had some food and water and gear and whatnot, and we had an opportunity to run with them part of the way. The last half, I think, was just the 2 of us, and it was great. It started getting cold later on, and the views are just incredible in Zion National Park when you get off the beaten path and you get onto the trails that the average tourist doesn't go on. And we had a great time, and that's one of my most memorable runs.
Do we ever run together? Are we competitive with each other? I think naturally we're both kind of competitive people, so there is competitiveness, and if I can beat him, of course I'm really excited. But yes, we do run. For years now, like, weekend runs have kind of been our thing. Like, we get up and we go out and run, and we spend hours in the mountains, and it's amazing just being able to have a partner or spouse that you can enjoy this with. You know, it's nice that you always have someone if you need someone there, for sure. Like, if you don't feel like running alone, if I don't, he'll always go with me, so that's always great.
Yeah, we really enjoy running together. She's my running partner. Has been that way for a long time. My first marathon was the Ogden Marathon in 2009, maybe 2010, something like that. And she beat me. That was the first and last time she beat me in a race.
No.
No?
I kind of beat you at Bryce 50 this year. We finished together, well, yeah, and that was fun.
You are higher than me on the finisher list, that's correct. But we
finished together.
Yeah, no, we have a good time running together, and we'll get out and explore, and yeah, I mean, you know, we've been together for almost 19 years now, almost 20 years, and we love getting off the beaten path and exploring ridges and peaks, and I mean, we've been doing that together the whole time, and now running together, yeah, it's a special treat, I think, and I feel lucky to have a wife who has a similar passion, and we can go out and share this experience together.
Both kind of have an adventurous heart. You know, we'll be out running on a trail, and I look up the hill and I go, what if we go up there? He's like, okay. I'm like, you know, I'm kind of an oddball woman. I'm like, get me up higher. I just want to bushwhack. I want to come home with scrapes all over my legs.
We do a lot of that.
We do a lot of it, and it's just fun having that time together.